Hello friends, this is Sudhanshu and welcome back to my channel Automation with Ease. So today's session is about the further enhancement of what we have done in our earlier session. So basically the motive is the code reusability. Let's say whatever we have the action that we have performed, how we can reuse the code just by converting each action into a method and just by passing the argument and because we can then basically reuse all our actions. So let's get started. What we can do is, let's say what all actions we have done in the earlier classes. If we have opened up a browser, right, and then what we have done is we have done the send keys, and then what we have done is we have closed a browser. I think click also something, yeah, so we have done the click as well. Fine. So all these methods we're gonna create, and then we will convert, we will remove one by one all these actions from here and create method for these actions. So let's say public static void open up a browser. Okay, so what is required when we open up a browser? We would need a URL, right? So we can pass it as a URL. So let's say why it is throwing error. Okay, I think because the main method is already there and we are doing it inside, so just write it outside the main method. Okay, now there is no error. Okay, so what we can do is we can simply shift this part over here, the whole chunk, I guess. Yes, this all is required. Okay, okay, so again, because we are initializing it here and then the browser will open, we can probably mention it over here so that we can reuse this variable wherever we want. WebDriver driver. Okay, here. Okay, I think because it is not static, that is why it's throwing error. So we have to remember, we have to make it as a static. I think again, as I said, that you should go through the theory part before this, but yeah, if we make it as a static, because see, when we are making this variable as static, then this variable can be used throughout this program anywhere. Okay, otherwise in each method you'll have to declare, which we don't want. So WebDriver driver, why there is again an error? Create local variable, I have done it already, right? Then why? Maybe outside the main method it is required. Yes, not in the main class, because again main is a method and there is another method where we are reusing it, so it is required to be declared outside the main method as well. So the scope of this variable is now global, right? We can reuse this variable wherever we want within that class. Now again, so one action we have already done. What we have done, basically we have created a variable of for this interface, WebDriver. So now this variable, as soon as we initialize this will open up a browser here. Okay, now the browser will open this thing we want to pass, right, in this method. So driver.get, what we are basically passing here is this URL, right? And we can call this method above where we want to show you how. So let's say this system.set properties, it is fine, I guess we have declared it in the main, because as soon as the the execution start, the JVM will look for this and then it's already there, so there will be no error as such. Now when we, so this is the method, right, where we are passing the argument, let's say this. Now fine. Oh god, it automatically, yeah. So now what we are doing, basically this open browser, right, we can pass this any URL over here. As soon as we call it in the main class, it will call to open up a browser, and this chunk of code will execute. So what it will do is open a browser, we are passing this as an argument. This URL will be passed over here in this method. It will firstly open up a browser, right? It will first open up a browser, and then again we are using the same variable driver.get. So the same thing, we are passing this URL. Basically this will come here, it will open up here, and there will be a console output saying browser opened, and then we are maximizing it. Okay, the second action that we are going to perform is which one? Send keys. Okay, let's create a method. Send a value, maybe, yeah. Let's call it as a value, closing braces. Okay, now this chunk of code again, just cut it and paste it over here. Okay, so web element, it will search for this element. We can further, I believe, we can create another method where we can pass the XPath as well, but that is for the one more thing. But yeah, okay, let's do it now then. So what we can do, we can pass two arguments. The first one is we can pass the XPath, plus we can pass the value string string locator. Okay, so here basically what is required is the locator, and here what is required is the value. Now let's call this method here. It requires two arguments, the locator and the value. Okay, the first one should be value, as we have mentioned here, because both are of type string, so we have to make sure that we are following the sequence as well. So the value is this, right? This is something that I'm going to pass in this method. Cut it, make it as well, paste it over here. Okay, why it is throwing error? Because it requires two argument. Okay, and what else we want to send is the XPath, right? So just cut it from here, XPath. Now this is the locator that we are sending, right? What it will do now is, so using this method there are two arguments. First the value and the locator of that particular value. What I want to send it that particular location in our document object model, in our UI. So this is the XPath where I want to send this value. Okay, so we are calling this, so we have created this method. It will accept two strings. I think this shouldn't be of type, right, if I'm right. Anyways, we are sending it as a string, so it doesn't matter now. Yeah, so we can send it as a string, although it's, yeah, a string would work here. It shouldn't be of type by here, because for that again we can write something else, maybe in later, maybe further. It will take some time, to understand, like in the framework we will understand those things. So let's park it for now. Yeah, so both are the string type. This is the locator, this we are sending. So this is console output. Basically we're clearing it and then sending the value to this XPath. Okay, the third method is click. Okay, so till here it is click. So let's create another method, click, closing braces. Click. I think it will require only locator for click. Anything that you please, you can name it. Okay, now this whole chunk, closing the browser, leave this part, paste it here. Okay, throw declaration is required when you're doing thread.sleep. So okay, again wherever we want to click we can send it as this. So just click method. Click method here, click method. It requires only one argument, the XPath, this XPath, right? This is the XPath, basically where we want our automation script to search and click. So we are sending this XPath to the click method. This is where our XPath will be passed. Cool. So here it will search for this element and it will click on that particular location, the element which we have passed here as an argument. Okay, close. Let's create this as well. Little bit off. Let's create in the method. Basically we are not returning anything, so it's all void. Okay, so close. I don't think any argument is required for close. We can simply paste it here. We are just saying that we want to close the browser, so it will close the browser. Okay, now why this code is reusable? So basically you see we have parameters this URL and okay, so whatever URL you will pass it will open up. Now after closing it you can again recall it the next time, the same chunk of this bit. Okay, just a minute, let me call the close as well, because if we don't close it will cause issues. So let's close this here. Okay, now let's say if you want to open it again, so something else you want to open, right? Same thing, you just have to replace this with some other this is one of the site that I found. It's useful for automation. There are multiple things that you can perform on this site. So okay, let's say if I want to open this after Google and I want to search this particular bit here. instead of Google search. So let's inspect this. Let's create an XPath for this. As explained earlier, let's traverse it. It is an ULLI dev input ID's name 3 first name. I guess with the name itself it will work though, but let's create an XPath for this. Oh, it's already there. They're giving you the default XPath. Let's use this. This is anyways the XPath. So it is saying one matching node. That's fine. Okay. So here we will just pass the XPath. Okay. What I want to do is I want to send the first name is Sudhanshu here, and then let's say if I want to click on somewhere, where I want to click. Let's say if I put Sudhanshu Pamia over here and then click on submit, then what happens? So basically some errors will be there, but yeah, I want to click in here. Okay. That's fine. Just for this case we can say errors would be fine, but basically this is where I want to click. Let's inspect this. It is giving me the default XPath unmatching node. Let's use this XPath. Oh, has it changed? Why? Copy it. This is where I want to click, right? We will see what is the behavior. Even I have not used this site so far in my automation. Okay, let's execute our program. So is everything okay? We are opening all this, passing argument, closing it. Okay, let's see if there are errors. We will sort the errors out, but I don't think there will be any error as such. Let's execute this. Opened up the browser. Why it's taking so much time? Oh, it has failed. Exception in main thread, null pointer exception. Okay, why null pointer exception? Yeah, so I have debugged it a bit, so I understand why it was throwing error. Yeah, here we are without mentioning the variable, we are initializing it. Driver. Okay, now it should work. Yeah, it's opening. Let's see. Yes, so it has opened, it has searched. It should close it now. Fine, the other one opened. Yeah, maximize. Done. So it has clicked on the submit as well. As we have seen it earlier, like when we are doing it manually, it was doing the same thing, right? So what we have done is basically we can now reuse it based on your test cases. So anyways, nowadays nobody use such format of automation, and we prefer a proper framework. So I believe, but I think this is, as I said, we are starting up and we want to understand the basics before we jump onto actual framework. We understand the basics, the code reusability, the passing the arguments to the methods and how it works, so and so forth. So yeah, I think that's it for today's session, and for this session at least, and maybe I'll come up with something different in the new session. Yeah, stay tuned, and do share my video, and subscribe and click on bell icon please, so that you get notification whenever I'm putting my new videos. Thank you. Bye.